So Dungeon Mini is the world's first tabletop action game. And the inspiration was, we all love playing with our RPG figurines when playing games like Dungeons and Dragons. What if we could actually hold the Mini and control our character that way? So it kind of takes elements of dungeon crawling, miniatures, board gaming, and combines it into a sort of top-down perspective dungeon crawling adventure where the actions you directly take with your Mini, like if you jump with your Mini, your character jumps. If you swing your character swings its axe. So you totally control your character using your character. In the world of Dungeon Mini, the sorcerer Malphurus has turned the heroes to stone, and they can only be reanimated through the power of your body. So when you touch your figurine, you bring it back to life, and that your dwarf becomes your hero that you control. So today we're launching the Dungeon Mini Kickstarter, which enables players to pledge and reserve their very own figurine, of which we have prototypes here today. We have stretch goals to add more characters, more levels, more dungeons, and even things like multiplayer play. But the base goal is to have two basic characters, the dwarf fighter and the elf ranged archer maiden, in a dungeon adventure that's a single player that you can play on iOS or Android tablets. As our stretch goals expand, we'll get more and more dungeons, and the idea is, yes, there'll be a certain degree of randomization, so you can play a different experience every time with different monsters, different placement, so you don't know every dungeon by heart, and make it a more interesting adventure. Yeah. So each character has their strength and weakness. The melee fighter we have here is a dwarf who's a close-up combat that you swing his axe to fight with. With the elf character, she's a ranged archer who is much more fragile at taking damage face to face. But however, you can tap your finger and shoot at targets at a distance without taking any damage. And the additional characters planned are a sorcerer, for whom you actually draw the patterns of the spells on the screen to launch the spells. So it's a little more interactive way of actually controlling your spells. And also potentially a rogue who will be able to set traps and sneak things and open chests and be sneaky like that. One of our goals is to have full multiplayer co-op where people could be either completely on the internet or in the same room playing on separate tablets, doing co-op, fighting together, having one character be a tank and have another character range and attack from behind, having a sorcerer launching area of effect attacks, all the kind of fun things you can imagine that you do in a pen and paper tabletop, but directly action, no dungeon master needed, and just get in there and have fun together. Ynnis Interactive is a company that works in both video games and board games and in anime and comic books, and their mantra is to satisfy geek culture at all levels. And being kind of players who love to play Dungeons and Dragons, who played old dungeon crawling video games, and play other tabletop games, the idea was, how can we combine these into a game that you can play on tablets, directly controlling with your Mini? So from that simple concept, we worked on the technology of making passive Mini characters that you can actually interact successfully with a tablet and move on them. Designing the dungeons, designing the sort of balance of gameplay, and that's kind of where we're at today. Your character is you're not going to turn this dwarf character with an axe into a ranged character. He's always going to have an axe, but what armor he has, what stats he has, as you said, how powerful he is, are all things you'll be able to level up, just as in a role-playing game. So each character will come as a base character that you can paint. We'll also, I think, have some specially painted ones available for some special goals, but the idea is you customize your character by painting it exactly the way you want it to be painted. So if you want to find out more, go to @DungeonMini on Twitter.